all constantly searching for that perfect shortcut, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, think about the most popular stuff online right now. It's always these viral videos promising to condense like 10 years of self-improvement knowledge into a 14-minute video.
We're obsessed with the efficiency hack, it's true. But the really startling fact, and this is the secret that's hiding in plain sight, is that the core drivers of modern success are, well, they're anything but new.
Right. They're ancient.
They're principles refined over millennia. Ancient wisdom just, repackaged for the digital age.
Exactly. So we did this fascinating project here at the IMN Podcast. We compared over 100 ancient and contemporary success factors.
From Eastern philosophy to Western Stoicism, all of it.
All of it. And we distilled them down to the 5 most critical, the most timeless principles that still govern success today.
And these aren't just abstract concepts. They are foundational truths that you, as a modern professional or business leader, can apply, well, immediately.
Whether you're navigating a global market or, just trying to find some personal clarity. And that's really the mission of the IMN Podcast. We try to take these complex subjects, explain them simply and succinctly in a relatively short format, and hopefully provide some deep, often missed insights.
The goal is for you to walk away well-informed and ready to actually implement change.
And this deep exploration into timeless success is brought to you by IMN.
They provide incredibly helpful, personalized information about, well, virtually any subject that's relevant to your professional or your personal life. They do the heavy lifting, searching through millions of data points, and deliver it to you succinctly.
In a really easy-to-read format. Okay, so let's unpack the first 2 secrets. These form your internal foundation.
Right.
We often focus on what we achieve, but ancient wisdom reminds us that success really begins with how we act.
And that's key secret number 1. Right action, not right result.
Okay.
This is the essence of detachment. And it comes directly from Hindu wisdom, specifically the concept of nishkama karma from the Bhagavad Gita.
This sounds great philosophically, but let's be honest, in today's hyper-competitive market, detachment can feel like a bit of a luxury.
Sure.
I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, the result is survival. If you're a professional, your bonus depends on metrics. How do you actually do detachment when your whole life seems to depend on the outcome?
That is the core conflict of modern professional life, isn't it? The ancient teaching, it doesn't suggest apathy. It suggests focusing your entire intellectual and physical capacity only on the task at hand. That fixation on external metrics, the views, the likes, the quarterly report, it causes fragmentation. Your mind is constantly jumping ahead, speculating about a future you can't control.
So the anxiety about the result actually sabotages the quality of the action.
Precisely. There's a quote, it says, "When work itself becomes the reward, we get drunk with the joy and satisfaction of a noble work done."
I like that.
So the tactical application is simple, but it's profound. You set boundaries on when and how you check those metrics. You dedicate blocks of time where the only metric is the quality of your effort, not the projected outcome.
That shifts the competition then. From the external world to your own capacity for excellence. You're judging yourself by an internal scorecard.
Which is sustainable, unlike that volatile external validation. And this naturally moves us to key secret number 2. Focus only on what you control.
The cornerstone of Stoicism.
Exactly. Self-mastery is paramount.
Okay, so this idea of controlling yourself, not the world, it's pretty well known today, especially with the whole Stoic revival. What's the deep insight here that the modern professional is maybe missing?
I think the insight is understanding the modern challenge to self-mastery. We're in the attention economy. Distraction is the default setting.
Right.
So that ancient Stoic virtue of wisdom, understanding the distinction between what is ours, like our judgment and our response, and what is not ours, like external events or other people's opinions, that's the countermeasure to all this digital noise.
So we have to actively build resistance against the pull of the device, the email, the vanity metric that secret number 1 just addressed.
Absolutely. Think of Epictetus' powerful formula. He said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do.
So it's not just about setting a goal.
No, it's about identity transformation before the action. You decide who you are, a disciplined person, a focused professional, and then the actions just flow naturally from that self-imposed identity.
That requires temperance, right? That self-discipline to prevent temptation from just carrying you along.
It's the difference between being driven by impulse and being guided by purpose. And that's what successful people do. They compete against their former selves, not their peers, to avoid that reactive trap.
So moving on, let's look at how that strong internal foundation has to interact with the external communal world. Lasting success, it can't be a purely solitary thing.
No, it requires a commitment to ethics and structure.
Which brings us to our third secret.
Key secret number 3, ethical foundation and community well-being. All enduring ancient systems, they prioritize justice and morality, not just for the individual, but as the bedrock for harmonious society.
And we're talking about integrity that goes way beyond just minimal compliance.
Exactly. I mean, consider the principles in the Talmud. It teaches, let your fellow's money be as precious to you as your own.
Wow.
But the really profound insight is the standard of the way of the pious. That's ethical behavior that goes beyond the strict letter of the law.
Why is that gap between the legal minimum and the ethical maximum so critical for professionals today?
Because relying on the bare minimum, it just creates instability and distrust. There's a historical example where, in the Talmud, it says Jerusalem was destroyed not because people broke the law, but because they insisted on adhering only to the letter of the law.
So they weren't willing to extend themselves beyond what was strictly required.
And in the modern business world, that translates to, transactional relationships and short-term thinking, which ultimately destroys brand loyalty and sustainability.
That links directly back to our previous deep dive on the ethics of marketing. It reminds you how critical that integrity is, not just for life, but for building sustainable businesses that foster long-term trust.
And this commitment to structural integrity, it requires clarity.
Yeah.
And that often gets buried under the sheer volume of data we face today.
And this focus on ethical structure, on eliminating the inessential, it really brings us to our partner.
IMN.
Right. IMN helps business leaders and professionals stay focused on essential priorities. It does this by sifting through millions of data points to give you succinct, easy-to-read, personalized information.
Think of it as a crucial tool for achieving that clarity of purpose. It eliminates the noise that distracts you from the way of the pious.
To learn more, just visit myimn.com. That's myimn.com.
So our fourth secret is profoundly practical, and it speaks directly to that sustainable structure.
Okay.
Key secret number 4, consistency trumps intensity. Success is always a cumulative effect, a series of small incremental wins stacked over time.
Which is the opposite of how the modern world works. It encourages intensity, the all-nighter, the massive launch, the dramatic burnout cycle.
Right, but ancient wisdom favors that steady, structured effort. Discipline requires routine, especially since modern life has removed so many of the natural resistances that used to enforce structure.
We don't have to walk miles for water. Everything is instant.
Exactly. So how did the ancients advise daily diligence?
I'm curious.
This is a wonderful piece of practical advice, again from the Talmud. It says, whoever inspects his property every day will find an astira.
An astira? What's that?
An astira was a small, valuable coin, a daily earning. The point is that success isn't waiting for some massive discovery. It's recognizing small problems or opportunities through daily, consistent inspection.
Because if you wait for the quarter-end report, the problem is already catastrophic.
Precisely. It's the compounding effect applied to effort.
That reminds me of the biomedical engineer student who felt, completely overwhelmed, no bandwidth to start a side business. And the advice was to just dedicate 30 minutes to 1 hour per day towards one high-utility skill. Over 365 days, that small, consistent effort, it creates this massive, irreversible competitive advantage.
It creates a flywheel effect. The structure of the effort is more important than the magnitude of the effort on any given day.
So finally, we have to address the reality of chaos. Because no matter how strong your internal foundation or how consistent you are, setbacks are, well, they're inevitable.
Which brings us to key secret number 5. Adapt your inclinations. This is about resilience and perspective.
And resilience isn't just bouncing back.
No, it's about using the obstacle itself as fuel. Marcus Aurelius taught that when our actions are impeded, we can always accommodate and adapt. The obstacle becomes a new purpose for our acting. The barrier becomes the path.
That takes incredible self-awareness to do in the moment. You have to recognize your plan is blocked, absorb that, and then pivot the underlying drive to a new purpose.
And Marcus Aurelius himself is the perfect example. He was inclined toward philosophy, not statecraft.
Right, he was forced into the role of emperor.
He didn't abandon his drive. He adapted his philosophical inclination to become the Stoic philosopher king. He converted the obstacle of governing into the purpose of wise governance.
And we see that same forced pivot in the professional world constantly. I'm thinking of Freddie Roach, one of the greatest boxing trainers in history.
Yeah, great example.
He was forced to retire from fighting, but he adapted his competitive instinct from fighting to strategizing and coaching. He found a new, powerful outlet for his deepest inclination.
And this adaptability is so critical because the modern world often seeks efficiency at the expense of human connection.
Right.
We had to constantly weigh the cost of efficiency against human dignity, which is a theme we explored in our very first deep dive on the Global South's People First AI agenda.
That tension efficiency versus humanity, it's perfectly captured in that story of the Uber driver.
The one who refused to move.
Yeah, he wouldn't move until his passenger, who was just totally consumed by his phone, simply acknowledged him with a hello. The passenger hadn't even looked up.
The driver was reclaiming his human dignity. That drive for maximum efficiency can so quickly dehumanize interactions, turning people into mere functions.
It's a powerful reminder.
Ancient wisdom requires us to adapt not just our plans, but our entire perspective to make sure we remain human and make others feel seen.
So to recap, we've taken over 100 principles and synthesized them into 5 key secrets for success that transcend time and culture.
Number 1, right action, not right result, which is detachment. 2, focus only on what you control or internal mastery.
3 was ethical foundation and community well-being. 4 was consistency trumps intensity.
And 5, adapt your inclinations, which is all about resilience. These concepts work today because human nature, our anxieties, our distractions, our search for meaning, it hasn't fundamentally changed. Only the speed of our context has.
Before we close, here is one final provocative thought for you, and it builds directly on Secret 4, consistency. Focus on the importance of intentional rest and balance. In the Torah, the principle of the Sabbath frames rest not as a break from productivity, but as a declaration of priorities.
It's the ultimate consistency plan for sustainability. If you don't build intentional rest into your routine, the exhaustion-induced stop will eventually be forced on you.
And that shatters your consistency.
So ask yourself, is your rest intentional, or is it just an exhaustion-induced stop forced by burnout? Only intentional rest protects your capacity for consistent effort.
Thank you for listening to the IMN Podcast. We try to make complex subjects easy to understand, relatively short in length, and provide insights that are often missed.
And if you are looking for clarity on your next steps, if you need to cut through the data noise to focus on your essential priorities, remember that IMN can provide incredibly helpful, personalized information about virtually any subject relevant to you as a professional, a leader, or even in your personal life.
Visit myimn.com. That's myimn.com. That's myimn.com.
And that link is also available in our channel description on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X.
Please subscribe, follow, share, do all of that across those platforms, and come back for the next IMN Podcast.